Hi, everybody. It is Paranormal, and we are your hosts. I'm Rachel,
I'm Kaz.
and today's topic is actually going to be really cool. But before we go into that, let's talk about a little bit about last weekend's impromptu 15-minute podcast that we did.
Yeah.
It literally was 15 minutes.
Because we were so eager to get back to what we were doing, and we didn't really know what we were doing prior to that, so we didn't have a subject or anything, but stuff was already going down in that house, and so we were like, we need to get back to recording some evidence here of the ghosties. So yeah, we didn't.
It also didn't help that we had about 1,000 little eyeballs staring at us from where we were sitting.
Yeah, that was a bizarre place.
Yeah.
I
can't wait to go back. But anyways, let's just jump into this topic that we're talking about tonight, because this is a topic that we've, I think, all been wanting to discuss for the longest time, but we just haven't had a platform to really discuss it on. And then also with us tonight is we have Leanne, who is a investigator with the Paranormal Seekers with us, who was also present at this investigation. And so we shall discuss the place that shall not be named.
It's exciting.
I think it was all of our favorites, I think. Well, definitely one of all of our favorites.
It is. I think every time we get together, it comes up at some point. We end up talking about it because, as you're about to find out, all the stuff that went down was unbelievable.
Yeah. It was a location that really, I think, changed a lot of how we go about things and like how we look at things. And I think it was a location where a lot of us had personal experiences, and for some people like Ryan on the team, he just couldn't explain them, so it still bothers him a lot today as to what happened and what went on. So so a little bit of background about this place. It is called the place that shall not be named because we have signed a contract pretty much to keep it not, what should I say? Keep it private.
The privacy and confidentiality.
Yeah.
For sure.
So basically, this location is located within the GTA. It is owned by a large nonprofit organization, and it is also a backdrop for a lot of film industry and stuff like that. It was built in the 1930s, and it was built by a doctor who was very big in promoting health and staying healthy. So we have that. And then after he passed away in the 40s, 1940s, I can't remember. I believe it was a few private residences, and then it just kind of fell into disrepair. And now this large nonprofit owns it.
Yeah.
That is pretty much it.
Absolutely. I think there were, it was leased out or rented out for a little while to people, right?
Yeah,
and
I think so.
They kind of didn't stay very long because,
I can't even imagine living there full time.
I know.
There's no way. There's no.
Well, I don't think back then it was like how it is now.
But even, let's say even 50s, 60s, it's quite a house to rent to live in. And the grounds are phenomenal too. Like the stuff that are on the grounds.
Yeah, it's a 20+ room estate.
Yeah. And I don't know when they modernized it, because some of the one of the bathrooms in particular is modernized, so they would obviously have had to have done that at some point. But
if everybody's wondering, Leanne's at work.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
Do you want to mute your thing between talking? As much as it's fun to be like, I'll take a McWendy's. I don't even know the name of Mendy's. McWendy's.
Oh my god.
Place
yeah,
that shall not be named.
So we pulled up to this location, and I should also mention too that this location is heavily secured. They have security there 24/7, 365. It's always being monitored. So even if you do know, what we're talking about today, don't try and go there, please and thank you. But anyways, we had to have security come let us in.
Well, let's be clear. We had a security escort because they had to go through the checkpoint and unlock the gates to let us in. So I had no idea still where we were going. And I'm like, what is happening right now? And we got to that the locked gate, and they had to get out and unlock it and then drive in and then lock it. I'm like, are we in Jurassic Park? Like, why are we in a gated place? Like, I'm not sure I'm cool with this. If we got to run, I need to know that I can get the hell out of this place. It was, but yeah, like you said, they're patrolling and there's cameras all up around, which we know when we had to go pee because we had to make sure we were not in front of the cameras.
Yeah, because there's no working bathrooms. None.
No.
Yeah, some of us did not realize there was cameras until after the first couple trips outside. So that must have been quite the show, I'm assuming.
See, that's why I had the person that kind of coordinated everything. I went with her because she knew where they all were. She's like, oh, no, we need to go around this tree. And I'm like, why? And then she's like, the camera. I'm like, oh.
I didn't pee once that time, so I'm good.
I know.
It was good. It was good. So, yeah. So when we went, it was pretty much, it was a full team. We were all there.
Mm-hmm.
And we pulled up, and wow. It was it wasn't something that you would expect. Like all of a sudden you're just driving like down the driveway, like down into the gully, and then all of a sudden you come up and boom, there's this place, right? Very it's hard to even imagine what it would have looked like in its prime because of where it's located. You never would have seen it from the road. You would just seen the driveway. But so we all pulled up and we all get out and we're all like, oh, ooh, ah, right? Because we're all, and we go inside and we like take this like tour around the building with the staff, and like this is literally. And I don't even think we had gotten into the building. Security had just unlocked the door, and Leanne heard the piano playing. Yeah. So Leanne heard the piano playing, and we were like, where the hell's the piano?
Mm-hmm.
So that was really, and that was even before we stepped foot in the house. Now we stepped foot in the house, and then we walked around and everything. And I remember we decided to take a break and come outside to because I walked into this place with a plan. Like we were going to do this. We'll split up here. We'll do this here. We'll do this. Like we had a plan because this is a very big organization, and we wanted to go in there with like this whole, like how like great we were. And I walked through that door and that plan went, bye-bye, plan.
The house had plans for us.
Yeah.
Yes, it did.
They said, no, Rachel, this is not happening. This is what we're going to do.
No. So like I'm wandering around the house with everybody, and I feel like I'm wandering aimlessly because there's just so much to look at. So much is coming at you. So that's why we took the break. But the second we walked outside, Ryan was the last person to walk out that door. And what happened to that door?
Well, it got locked from the inside.
Yeah.
Literally bolted from the inside, and no one was in that house.
We even tried to recreate that, and it's like something on the side you have to click. Like there's no possible way you could have accidentally or even Ryan-dentally have locked it. You know what I mean? There's no way. It was impossible.
Yeah. And even security said that. I remember them saying this can't be locked like this. You need like to physically lock it.
Yep.
I still remember that.
That was crazy.
And we didn't even have any equipment out at that time.
Exactly. But what it did make us do, I think it made us go, oh, now we're dealing with something else. But remember then we started really getting into, we were taking pictures of the outside, well, because we were locked out, so we had nothing else to do, which served a purpose later, because when we came out for break later on, we realized something had happened in one of those windows. And if we hadn't have been out at that time and just started taking pictures, we wouldn't have ever been able to have a comparison to be like, ooh, yeah, something did happen in that window. So it started off. It was like, uh-oh,
Started off
what
with a
are we
bang.
in for?
Complete
Even
chaos. Complete chaos. That's what we were in
Yes.
for.
exactly. And so we had I don't know her official title, the events coordinator, I guess.
Yeah.
A wonderful lady. She stayed with us the whole night, but we had another lady, I guess maybe her boss, who was like, I've never really done a walk around. I'd love to come. She was terrified the whole time. And when that happened with the door, she's like, yeah, I'm done. I'm out. I don't even want to go in that house again. So we had to get security back, who had left, and was like, what do you mean you're locked out? So he had to come all the way back. And yeah, he was like, how can you be locked out? And he showed us, it was like a push button turn lock thing. It's like some old school in the door. It's like, I've never even seen a lock this way. He's like, yeah, you have to lock it this way or else. And he's like, but I don't know how you did it outside, because you have to still turn the thing inside. And we're like, I don't know either. Oh my God.
And the poor security guy, it wasn't even like it's a short trip back. Like they had just left. Back, and it's fun. Probably a good 5-10 minutes, I would think, for them to get back.
Yeah.
So the guy's like, I don't want to go in there by myself. I don't even know how you guys did this. He did not do it. That's the whole point.
No, and of course that left Ryan like he was done. After that, he couldn't figure anything out for the rest of the night because he was still fixated on this lock. And then everything else that happened, like progressively through the night as we were investigating, I think his mind just couldn't handle it anymore. Because he couldn't figure it out because he's very fact based, right? And he couldn't do it.
Well, and like I said, I think it changed our mindsets from like, this is such a cool place, I can't wait, to be like, wait, what are we dealing with now? Because we stood there and tried to debunk that once the security came and let us in. And we were like, okay, maybe the wind shut or whatever. But the fact that it had bolted itself and even security confirmed it was done from the inside, I think we all just went, oh, shit. So then we were all a little more on edge. And as the night progressed and all the things that took place, I think we were all like, what the fuck is going down? Because we've never, well, I don't know, I'm speaking for myself here, but I've never experienced anything like that house and the things. And of course, we can't show any of it, but the stuff that happened, and we have all said this, if anyone was watching this, like if we were a TV show and we posted this, anyone was watching, they'd be like, this is bullshit. Like it's purely fabricated. I'd do the same. But the fact we were there and we can't explain 90% of what happened, unbelievable. Truly unbelievable.
Yeah. And like, even when we started, like we were like, okay, we're going to split into groups. And it was like, I know it was you and Leanne were together.
And Ryan. It was Leanne, Ryan and I went to the basement.
Yeah.
And you guys were like, we'll go to the second floor.
Yeah. So, and then all of a sudden we were together. I don't even know how that happened.
Well, so as soon as we went down to the third floor, I mapped in a little figure by the piano, interestingly enough. And then we got down there and we were only there about 5 minutes and we heard you screaming. And we were like, I don't know if it was you or Allison, but we heard screaming, yelling. And we were like, are you guys okay? But we couldn't really hear you. So we came running. And I still don't know if it was you or something else. I mean, by the time we got to you, stuff was going down like crazy where you were. And I think you were just like erupting from that. But we heard very loudly, like screaming from you guys. And that's what made us come up. And from that moment on, not a damn one of us wanted to go anywhere else by ourselves.
I don't remember any screaming. Maybe it was a lot of, right? Like, oh my God. Because I remember the REM pod was in like in the middle of the floor, like in a hallway area. And all of a sudden it just erupted. Like it was like, and all the lights were going off, so maybe that's what you heard.
Yeah.
It was very distinct. It was
Yeah.
definitely very distinct that we heard from the basement. And we're all like, well, there's really nothing happening down here. Let's go see what's going on with them. But that was kind of how it went. And then
Mhm.
that's when shit just hit the fan everywhere. It
Yeah.
didn't stop.
But even before that, with Leanne, like when we were doing
that was
the
during our
walkthrough,
tour. Yeah.
Yeah.
when we first walked in, like we were like looking around on the first floor, and she was standing by in this one little like room that I guess it was like a front vestibule, if you want to call it. And we had one room to the left, and you know, the room that we dubbed the whisper room after was to my right, so it would have been Leanne's left. And well, Leanne, you tell it.
Yeah. Tell
I,
us.
I heard it.
well, I'll tell you, when I first started this group, I was like part skeptic, part believer, whatever. This experience made me a full believer, like 100%. I mean, we weren't even investigating. There was nothing there. We had no equipment. We had nothing. And I had walked into this room, and distinctly in my left ear, I heard a whispering, like in an entire sentence. And I backed up because I was like, what the heck? And Ryan looked at me. I was white. It was just white. He took pictures, and there was orbs and whatnot in the first two pictures. Third picture, nothing. Blocked, malfunction. Fourth picture, bam, room's fine. It was exactly where I was. I know exactly that I heard something, and there's no doubt in my mind. So, I mean, that's why it's called the whisper room, because something definitely whispered in my ear, like very close to my ear. Yeah, that made me a 100% believer, because I know what I heard. I know.
Of course. Well, and then afterwards, I mean, I guess we'll get to what we did there, but we'll start with when we all got together. And it's hard because we can't show pictures. This is a mansion. So there is a massive staircase that wraps and goes upstairs, sort of stained glass windows, big wooden panels everywhere, massive fireplaces, a ballroom, like with a thing overlooking it. Like, this is a massive mansion. It's literally like a haunted mansion. Like, if you're thinking of, I want a haunted mansion, this is it. Like, it is incredible. And so we're running up this massive staircase, and it was on that landing that we find Rachel and Allison and Paula. And like you said, you've got the REM pod. You had it in you would go through across the landing. There was a room right there. And then there's a hallway with all different rooms. And then the staircase going up to the creepy ass next floor. So I think the REM pod was in the hallway there.
Yeah. It was like right dead center.
Yeah. And we had, I don't know if it was the spirit box or necrophonic, but the voices that came through were so clear and so loud on command. We had the strip lights going off. It was incredible. I think we had 2 REM pods in the end, and they were going off simultaneously and stopping simultaneously. Like, we were all like, we've just got here. And from that moment on, it was nonstop. And we really stuck together. And we felt like there were so many spirits around us. And it was like, as we moved, they shuffled with us and they came. And so wherever we would go, you'd feel those presences. We all went upstairs at one point, and I was in the back, and I felt like I was just being rushed with people behind me. In fact, actually, we were coming up the staircase. I blew by Allison because I was like, and she's like, what's going on? And I'm like, oh, as I'm up the stairs, because the feeling of people being there with you. Yeah. It was everywhere you went.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe we should verify that Kaz and I are the ones that will walk into dark, dingy places by ourselves. Like, we will do that.
Creepy basement. We're like,
this place that shall not be named. No. I mean, even Kaz and I, she had to go downstairs. I think it was to shut off a light or something.
Well, so there is a piano in the basement, which we didn't know at the time.
I'm talking about the back way when you had to go down by yourself. Remember by the front door?
Oh, yeah. That was when I came up.
Somebody had to go back down. Yeah. And she's like, oh, I don't want to. And it's never, like, Kaz will never be like, oh, I'm not going there or whatever.
But even that creepy basement, so there was a light that was in the room where the piano was. And there's a couple of ways to get to the basement. And one of them, we found this weird door, and I looked down and there's like the creepiest set of stairs. And I'm like, oh, I think this is to the basement. And typically I'd be like, yeah, this is to the basement. Do, 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 do. And I'm like, but when I was filming, it was dusty, but it was just like, it's like stuff's flying up the stairs at you. Like you're in warp speed, but it's coming. And even though it's just like dusty, it was a really weird feeling, like I'm being bombarded by stuff. And someone had said, there's a light in the basement. Can you check if it's still on? And I'm like, no, I don't think I can. But I was like, fuck. And I did. And I was terrified. Like, I don't know if I was filming, but I had my phone on and it was like this the whole time because the feeling down there, oh my God, like I was so scared. And when I looked, so when I looked and I was like, the light's still on, I ran up those stairs and Paula was at the top and she's like, and I'm like, I was so,
well, it's funny. It's funny that you say that because we did go to this place 2 times. And the second time we had a whole bunch of this nonprofit organization. They had a whole bunch of their staff and volunteers who wanted to join us. So of course, we said yes because, that's what we do. And we had a bunch of security guards with us in my group. And we had one security, like he was like the supervisor of the security. And he was saying like, years ago when they didn't have so many cameras and so much, security and eyes watching the place, that people would break in, obviously. And they don't know exactly because everybody always felt like there's something wrong with this like basement, the one basement area that we were in with where the piano was, that something felt off in that area. And they said that, there could have been people who broke in and did, seances and, did, try to do spells and stuff like that in the basement. They just don't know. And God knows who opened a portal in there, right? So
yes. Well, here's the interesting thing. The first time we went, so there's an area where the piano was in the basement, and then it was almost like a ballroom area that kind of opened up out. But then there was a weird little bathroom, and then you went into like the boiler room area, and that was the dark. There's no lights in there. That was the scary part. And then the rickety stairs that went up. At that time, we didn't really explore that area. And that was where I had to go through to see if the light was on. And it was very dark and I was scared. When we went back the second time and we were in the basement, I didn't realize there's a big metal, it looks like a safe door. If you think of a bank vault and they have that massive, thick steel door, there was one of them leading into this whole other area. They were like tunnels that led, and I guess some of them led to certain areas like the workers would be in if they had to do, there was a I don't know what you call it, like ladders that went up to the surface with a little like door that you could get out of. I don't know, like the one gentleman was explaining, it's like, well, you could come down here and then fiddle around with the whatever piping and stuff. But I'm like, why would you need a trapdoor to the surface? Like it was really weird. And I'm like, why do you need a vault door to like close this area? Like it was very strange.
That's weird.
I didn't even see that area.
I didn't even see it either.
And it's like, it's not just like you go around and there's like the room with all the boilery stuff in it. Oh no, it's fully the length of the building. And there are like windy corridors that just lead to dead ends and so strange. There's one, you came around the corner and it led to like bars and you could see into the other room. What? Yes.
Okay,
yes.
That is super creepy. Like,
and I'm like, what is this for? That. And then there was one that had like a little slit and grates and you could see into, it was into like the next level. I'm like, what is this for?
Where did you go?
Yeah, exactly. I went into some portal somewhere.
Apparently.
And thank goodness people were with me because, I mean, I don't know that you could get lost for a sec, but They had physically made corridors that led to nothing. Why? What?
It's like
What
the
was the
Winchester
purpose?
Mystery House.
Yep. And then
Well,
the
that's
one
in the
that led to
upstairs
the
room
the
too,
grates. Well, yeah, like
with the little desk and sitting in front of the little
with that
in the
little
hallway. Like,
the little hallway with the window
yes,
and the chair in front. Like,
no,
It's a sniper window.
like the Winchester House,
yeah,
exactly. The
it
sniper
was
window.
very weird.
That was so
Remember,
weird.
remember that room on the very top had like you opened it up and there was a little like room in there and it had the little kid's desk in there.
Yeah.
I know.
Like,
Why were they in there?
This place literally left us with more questions than answers.
yeah,
Like way more questions. Way
yes.
more questions. So let's get on to the topic of the Estes method. Because there was at one point where we were like, we don't want to do this. And then we were like, nope, we're going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Leanne went first. So we
Yep.
all sat in the whisper room. And Leanne sat on the floor. Of course, we put like all this equipment and everything around her, but like it was just like, I don't even know.
It was unbelievable.
I have
It
never
really,
backed
really
out
was.
of an SC method ever. I've never been like, nope, I'm done. Like, no. I think I lasted what, maybe 10 minutes?
No,
And I'm like,
no,
nope, I'm done.
you did quite good, but the stuff that you were saying in correlation to what we were asking with the strip lights going off, and I don't know if we had a REM pod at the time. We had something
Yeah.
else, maybe the cat ball.
Yeah.
But so in the whisper room, there are two doors that lead out, and one led into some other little room, and the door's closed. But the other one led into like the front hallway, and you could see diagonally across into this big ballroom. And we had put a REM pod in there and the triangle.
Mm-hmm.
And that was going off simultaneously. Actually, that might have been when we had Rachel. But the equipment was going off simultaneously when you were doing it. Like when you were doing the Estes and asking questions. And at one point, we asked if it was someone that had previously been there, like lived there. And the strip lights lit up like they were walking in the room. And at that time, you, Rachel, said, "Oh, I felt like something just walked past me." And we caught on video the piano playing downstairs at the same time, which we didn't know at the time, of course. And then Ryan started complaining, "I don't feel right. I don't feel good. I think I need to get out of here." And I think even though Leanne was like, you could tell she was done, I think we were all done. We needed to get out of the house and take a breather because the energy was so heightened. And I think because the spirits were like, oh my God, these people can actually hear us. So, because again, we say this often, imagine you're a spirit and you're in this place and either it's not visited very often or people are in it and they can't hear you and you're talking to them. And all of a sudden some people show up and now they can hear you and potentially see you. And they're like, got so much to say. And they just felt like there were so many of those spirits. They're all fighting to see who can speak first. And the energy was so heightened. And Ryan was like, I think he was done. Honestly, I think he was ready to leave. He was on edge. And so that's when we decided to go outside. And that's when he's like, those curtains have moved in that second window. And we're like, are you sure? And we had the pictures from when we were out the first time, walked outside. And sure enough, the curtains had moved.
Like a considerable amount had moved. It wasn't just like a little bit. It was like the difference of them being tied up to them being covering half the window. Like it was insane.
And
we hadn't even been up there. Well, we had been up there, but we hadn't been up there
in that room. And when we went back to see, that room was full of furniture and you couldn't even get to the window because it had like bed frames and mattresses lined up. So you couldn't actually get to that window. So however that moved, a breeze is not going to flow around and just move that window.
There was no breeze that night.
Yeah, exactly. Like for them to move the way they moved, it was like someone had opened them and looked out.
Yeah.
It was crazy. And then we're all like, I don't know if I want to go back in that house.
And then we all did because Rachel did an Estes method.
Yep.
And then
And let's talk about that.
Oh
I mean,
my
you can
god.
tell how awesome this place was, just how excited the three of us are just talking about it. Like
Yep.
it was like an investigator's dream is what it is. We even looked
Exactly.
at one point, like, have you ever in 20 years had something like this? She's like, no,
Mhm.
no.
And
But this house was,
we get this excited every time we talk about it.
Mhm.
I don't think there will ever be a time where we're like, yeah, that place is fun.
Oh,
We'll
yeah.
always be like, do you remember the things? Because they're so incredible. And because we can't explain it.
It's one of those places where you just leave with more questions and answers, which makes you want to go back to figure it out. So my Estes method was a bit insane, I guess. I don't remember much of it because, of course, I don't know what you guys are asking. I just somewhat can remember what I was saying. And it seemed that somebody was really, really taking a liking to me.
Yes, they were. But it kind of got a bit scary at the end because they started saying the blonde one is staying with us. She's not going anywhere. And we're like, nope, that's not going to happen. And as Allison pointed out, it became apparent the spirit that was talking really thought I don't know if you look like maybe their ex-love or something, but it was definitely like, I want this person. And I think you reminded that spirit of someone, and they were determined that you were staying. And follows us around now to this day.
And now I'm not allowed to be alone when we go back. I apparently have to be tethered to Ryan or Allison because I'm not allowed to be alone.
I
Yeah.
think that any of us should be alone in that house. Like, I think it should be pairs at all times because so much stuff happens. You want two people around instead of one person going, oh, who's here to see that with me? Oh, nobody. Damn it.
I'm not even like, who's here to see that with me? I'm like, holy fuck, who's here? I need someone to hold my hand. But that's the second Estes, like, because we'd already had Leanne, so we were already like, whoa. And this is the actual one that I was referring to. So I'm videoing and I've got a direct line across the corridor into the ballroom where we had the REM pod and the triangle. And then in our room, the whisper room, we have the strip lights and the REM pod. And there are two REM pods and the triangle would go off simultaneously in response to questions. They'd light up, they'd go off. We'd ask another question, they'd all light off. So how do we explain that? How do we explain they're all the way across in a whole other room and they're going off in correlation to questions and things we're asking? And it started to build. And I think it started to build because the spirit was like, this person, like, who, for whatever reason, had the hots for you. And it started to get more aggressive. And we ended the session when it was like, she's not going home. She's staying here with me. We're like, nope. And so we had to tap you out because it started to get way too intense. And we're like, we don't know where this is going. And we could feel the energy was ramping up at that point. And that was kind of scary.
I still had no idea what was going on.
Oh, yeah, you had no clue. You kept answering us, and we're like, oh, this is taking a turn for the worse. This is not good. And it actually started at the end of my session. They were talking about Rachel and whatnot. And I'm like, okay, I'm done. I'm not repeating that. That's why I tapped out myself because it had started. And then as soon as she put the headphones on, I looked at Elsa and I said, I don't think she should be doing this. From what I heard, no.
Well, I always thought too is that I was the one that held all the information. I knew the most history and the most information about people, places, and things from that location. I knew more than the actual people who actually own and run it. Right after it. So I thought maybe that had to do with it because I was the keeper of the information, right?
Well, yes. And
turns out that might not be it.
Maybe don't say it. But again, and we've mentioned this many times before, you're a phenomenal researcher. And I think that sets us apart as a team. When we go into these buildings, we already have this knowledge. So we're addressing these spirits by name. Or if they say a name, we're like, oh, do you mean so-and-so? And imagine how that makes them feel. They're validated. Someone's bringing them back to life. So of course you have that information and you're seeing it all. So they're probably like, oh my God, let's talk to this person. So they're following you around all night because they know.
Yeah.
But it was even the worker who had stayed with us, she was like gobsmacked the whole time. I don't think she prepared herself for what happened that night. She was just like, cool, I'm gonna be with the Ghostbusters. And the whole time she was sitting there and she was just like, because we were all like,
Yeah.
and like if the ghost hunters who kind of do this all the time are like, holy fuck, then something's going down. So yeah, it got really crazy. And I think maybe we took a break after that.
Yeah.
And then we went
We
into the
did.
ballroom and started, or maybe we went upstairs after that and went up to that.
I don't even
room.
remember. Seriously, I don't even remember. I just remember being there.
I think it was the ballroom. And after we had specific lights going off for questions that were being asked, and the rope lights that were going off. Yeah. Oh, and then we also had Necrophonic playing.
Yep.
And there was a lot of answers coming through there. Not to mention the gentleman that Allison I saw at the fireplace.
Yeah, that's right.
Camera was malfunctioning, playing with it, turn around, and there's a gentleman standing at the fireplace just looking at us and smiling. And I'm like, looked at Allison because that's the first time I've ever seen anything that's not really there. And she's like, did you just? I'm like, I did. So I that house, that house. That's all I can say.
It's hard to put into words, like what we experience and like things that happen. Like it's hard to really put into words. Like even when we went back the second time and had all of the staff and the volunteers with us, like it was still hard to, tell them like this is what happened the first time we were here. Like, oh my goodness, like bye plan, like, and then they were only there with us for a few hours and then they left. While one security guard came back, and then we still had the volunteer that was with us the first time, and we stayed for another like 1 or 2 hours afterwards. And stuff was happening.
It ramped up when all those people left. It got really crazy, and we kept getting the security guy's name come through on the spirit box and on Necrophonic, and he was just like, "What is going on right now? Why does it keep saying my name?" And we're like, "Oh, I know who you are." But yeah, like, and then we were in the first time around, we all ended up in the basement, and we had the 2 REM pods set up separately across the room, and they were going mental, and they would go off together and turn off at the same time. And we were floored because we've never seen it. Most of the time, the REM pod doesn't even go off. So it was so active. And we would literally ask a question, boom, REM pod goes off, both at the same time. And this is what I'm saying when I say, if you're watching a ghost show and you see this stuff, you're like, oh, okay, fabricated much? Yes. Not at all. Not at all. And we ended up moving a REM pod because we were like, maybe something's triggering it. Nope. It didn't matter. I don't know what would trigger the REM pods, but if something's triggering the REM pods, it's going to go off continuously. This would go off, like, and then turn off, and it wouldn't go on again until we asked another question. So it's not like it was just random. It was only when we were asking questions, and then the 2 would go off. And even Ryan was like, how can they both be going off at the same time? Like, his head was like, the whole night. Because he's just like, this does not make sense to me. Something's going on. They can't malfunction at the same time. Like, he's so frantically trying to figure out a logical reason, which is great because that's what we need, right? We can't just jump to a conclusion, but he was like a beautiful minding it. He's like, okay, with the calibration of the thing and the lights and how do we do this? Like,
I honestly don't think he slept when he went home that night. I don't think I think he was up till about 4 or 5 in the morning trying to figure out everything. Going through all his like videos and all his like pictures and stuff and trying to figure out a logical explanation of like everything that
Yeah.
happened, and he couldn't do it.
I think that was the night Liz realized she'd lost him to the other side, because she was just like, what? Like, he didn't sleep.
No.
We were like, I don't think any of us did, because we were still like, what? But
It's
look
just
at us.
me. I
A
just
year
sleep
later,
forever.
and we're still like, what?
It
Yeah.
left us all speechless.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
we had nothing that we could put into words or even explain. And even when we tried to explain it, it was like, but then, and then, and you could see all of our minds just kind of turning, and then all of a sudden, yeah, I got nothing.
Just-
Yeah.
See, now y'all know how I felt with my plan.
And that's the best part, is like, I think Leanne said it perfect. The house had a plan for us,
Mhm.
which we didn't know at the time. But when we went in and that house realized, I think, who we were and that we were able to communicate, it just came alive.
I think it still
And
has plans for us.
well, how many of us had dreams about that house for like the next week or two? Yeah.
Oh gosh, I think everyone did.
I'm still having dreams about it. I'm
Well,
still
and
having dreams. The one
like
where
I
we were
said,
camping out in the whisper room, remember?
oh my gosh.
Like,
Yeah, it's just
and that was only like a month and a half, 2 months
Yeah.
ago. We're camping
And
out.
the thing is, like, we've done a couple of sleepovers now at places.
Yeah.
And it's pretty intense when you're sleeping over at a place. But I don't know anywhere in that house that I'd be like, okay, well, maybe I'll settle down here. It's all like crazy.
just blow up
But
that
I
air
think
mattress.
we would all be together. There would be no separation in that house of sleeping
We
somewhere
would
else.
have like 4 queen size air mattresses all like taped together.
We're all just holding hands in a big
Yeah.
circle.
Nobody's
Yeah.
sleeping. I don't even think Rachel would sleep. No.
Oh no, I'd sleep.
Oh, she'd sleep, let me tell you, because
We all just freaking out. They're just
yeah. Well, in the place that we were just at, she's fast asleep and the music box is going off. There are voices coming through her spirit apps on her phone. There's some critter
Which is
trying to
beside my
bust through the
head.
wall. Jay and I are
The
like,
only
there's someone
thing,
running up and down the staircase and talking.
and
Jay
the
and I are
only
like,
thing that woke me up was the laptop beeping because it somehow magically shut down. That's the only thing that's what woke me up. Was the
and the
beeping
funny
of the
thing is,
laptop.
so Jay was awake the whole time, and I was sort of dozing, I think, and then some critter fell through the wall and whatever. That woke me up. And then Jay's like, someone's in the hall, like the stairwell hallway, and the door is closed. And we can hear that we heard someone walking around upstairs. And then he's like, I gotta go to the bathroom. Want to come with me? And I'm like, no, but yes. And so we left, and then somehow we ended up investigating the basement. And I'm like, poor Rachel, we just fucked off and left her in the midst of chaos going on upstairs because the thing's still going off, the voices are still coming through. And then all of a sudden we get this frantic text. You guys, because she woke up to this thing going off and we're nowhere to be found. But I don't know that we would sleep in that house that we cannot mention, because I don't think that the equipment would stop going off, and I just think we would be so bombarded by the spirits just being there. I think we would not feel comfortable
again,
closing our eyes.
I also slept at Hinsdale, so I think I'm good.
You're just like, I'll just snooze, and then you're out.
When I'm done. Just
I don't understand. Like, even the energy that was in the room, it was almost like it was static electricity. Like, I don't even know how you could sleep with that. Like, your hair would be sticking out.
probably. We could do that as an experiment. Rachel will sleep next time, and we'll see what happens.
How many haunted places can Rachel sleep through?
Exactly.
Let's see. We can take bets on it.
Yeah. I think you'd sleep for sure. But not, I don't know if we were like, okay, well, we'll leave you up here and we'll go finish investigating. I don't know if you'd do that.
I'd be awake. And I wouldn't sleep outside either. I would not sleep outside.
Let's talk about the grounds, because the first time we went, so this, I don't know how many acres it is, but So when you come through the gated checkpoint with security, you drive down this road and there's a whole other building, which was like a carriage house. Is that it?
I'm going to say yes. It was some type of like
It was beautiful.
carriage house. I don't
Yes.
know.
I mean, it's
Labor. I don't know.
it's like overrun now, but it's stunning. And I thought that's the building. No, you keep going and then this thing looms out of the wilderness at you. But the property itself, there was this like stone walkway with arches, and then you go down into what would have been a stunning area with a massive fountain in it. And so you would have gone down into there and had these big parties, maybe. That's what I feel like happened. But then off to the right was almost like a sheer drop into like a valley, and there were stairs that started to go down and they were all disintegrated. And the first time we went, I walked down some of the stairs and you're overlooking, like, it's a very overgrown, but it's like a valley. But the outside area had a weird vibe to it. Like, I didn't like being out there.
No.
I would have rather been in the house.
You know, the hills have eyes.
Yeah.
Well, these hills did have eyes.
Constantly felt like you were being watched for sure.
Yeah.
No matter where you were.
Remember we heard that thing in the woods, like something was walking through the trees? And thankfully I had already peed at that point, because if I was peeing and something was walking there, I would have been pants around my ankles running down the driveway, because
so that's really funny. Because the second time, like the first time we went, we were so focused on the house, like nothing else really mattered at that point. Outside was outside. The second time we went, there seemed to be more of something going on with the outside. Because I remember at one point we were in the big ballroom area, and Ryan and Allison were looking out the window, and it was like they were looking at something. So of course, I'm like, what's going on? So I had to like come up, and I'm like peeking over their shoulders, and I'm just looking outside. And in my head, I'm thinking, there's a Wendigo out there. And like, if people don't know what Wendigos are, it's like this like deer spirit thing. It's native. We'll leave it at that. We can do a whole other podcast on these type of things. But I wanted to say, oh, are you looking at the Wendigo? And I didn't say anything because I was like, I'm not saying that. They're going to be like, what the heck? Because I'm thinking, well, maybe they're looking at some person. And then afterwards, Allison says to Ryan, did you see that out there? And Ryan's like, oh, yeah. And they started describing, like, they saw like what looked like this tall man, but it didn't have a man's head. It was kind of like, it had antlers and all that. And I was like, that's a Wendigo. Right? Like, yeah. So they are native spirits. They are used to protect land. They do apparently eat humans, something like that. Again, we could do a whole other episode on this kind of stuff, but yeah, so apparently 3 of us figured this out, and I didn't see nothing. I was just thinking it. So I don't know.
That's
I don't
weird.
know if I want to be out there, but so I wouldn't sleep outside. I'll take my chances in the whisper room.
After hearing all the little stuff moving around outside when we were on breaks, I don't even want to walk outside, let alone sleep out there. It's not a camping area. Definitely not.
No.
There's no way I'm pitching up a tent out there and just being...
Well, I know the second time we went, we had Jim.
First time.
Is that his name?
First time. Yeah, we had Jim. Jim came with us the first time.
Oh, was it the first time? Okay.
Yeah, our friend.
And we went, so the outside has this beautiful, I don't know what you call it. It's like a walkway, and it has the stone. Sure. And it has the stone pillars and like a roof, whatever. And each end had like a little tower thing. And he was like, I do not like this area at all. And I had previously gone in because I was taking pictures, and I went down to the fountain. And while I was at the fountain, I was just like, oh, I don't like this. Like something felt very strange. And I think because you kind of step down into it, and it's like the grass grows up and there's like trees all aligned, you're just like, why do I feel really like everyone's just staring at me? Like I'm in some weird, I don't know, like arena, and everyone's staring at me. And so when I came back up, that's when Allison and Jim were there, and he's like, yeah, I don't like this area at all. Something not very good happened here. And I'm like, don't need to tell me anything else. I just was like, I'm out of here then. And then when we heard the things walking around, and I mean, okay, full like honesty, I live out in the country, and a mouse can be walking around. It sounds like a freaking elephant. Like, so it probably was just a squirrel, but when you're already on edge and it sounds like something is walking around, and thank God I didn't know about this Wendigo thing and didn't even know what that was. So good thing I didn't know about that at the time, because I'd be like,
We didn't know the first time either. Second time, we still don't know, but this is what we figured. If they were describing the exact same thing, and I thought that, and I had to be the one that showed them the photos and told them about it, maybe it was. I don't know. But that ground is definitely native land, so it would make sense.
Wow.
Yeah. So I don't know. Round 3.
But amazing. Yeah. Definitely.
Figure it out.
Definitely. It's tough because the one place that was just, I have so much video and photographic stuff, and we can't show anybody the torture of it all. But hey, we got to experience it. And
I know. And this is how we can tell people about it, is by telling people, but not telling people.
Yeah.
Not be named. That's why it is that.
Yeah, the place that shall not be named, but it shall be told.
Exactly.
But yeah.
Exactly.
So yeah, that's our investigation of the place that shall not be named in a location that shall not be disclosed.
Exactly.
But we shall repeatedly talk about.
Exactly. Because it's going to bug us for the rest of our lives until we get solid answers.
Exactly. We will be referencing this pretty much in every podcast, I believe, because it was so impressive.
We do. We always compare it to things. Like,
exactly. Well, the
like
good thing is, the last place we went to, Wildwood, was semi on par with the place we shall not name. So at least we can mention that place.
Yeah. 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 That place is very well known. It also is in a location that kind of looks like the place that shall not be named. If you didn't notice in the morning when we got to see everything in the daylight, how everything was all right in the background, remind me of that place.
Oh.
See? Now you sound now. See, now you poor Leanne's like, I got enough.
Exactly. She's like, sure. We'll have to sneak the rest of the people in next time.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. We're going back. Yeah, we're going back. It's gonna happen. But anyways, yeah. So if you guys have any stories, or you kind of know what we're talking about and you want to share them with us, feel free. You can send us an email at paranormalpodcast@gmail.com. That's PAREHNORMAL podcast@gmail.com, because we're Canadian, so we got to get the A in there. And you can follow us on Instagram and Facebook, and and our TikTok. We have TikTok.
And you can check out these videos on YouTube and see the hilarious faces we make while we're doing these.
Just wait. Just wait. There's some good ones coming. Yeah, so next week's topic is Kawartha Settlers Village.
Ooh,
another great place.
It's a home away from home.
Yeah, I know, our home away from home. They really just need to give me a key. Not just, hand me one for a couple days. No, I'm kidding.
Put your name on the title.
Yeah. I'm an unofficial employee. I will take that. But yeah, so that's our next week's topic.
Excellent.
So, yeah. So hope everyone has a great week, and by the time you all listen to this, hopefully that snow has gone down a bit, because people in Bracebridge right now have 125 centimeters of snow, and they can keep it. I got about a centimeter outside right now because it snowed here, and I don't even want it. So yeah, that's how I feel. I hate winter, but I like red people. Anyways, all right. Have a great evening, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.